Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Titan Business Builders. And today we have us our guest, Ewa Halliday. Hi, Ewa. How are you doing?
Hi, Stefan. Hi, everyone. Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love being here.
My pleasure. It's always great to have people that I know and that I feel like have so much to share with the audience come on here. Because you're a productivity coach right now,
Yes.
and you're building your own coaching business too. But
Yes.
you're also still in corporate, what you just mentioned to me before we started.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people would really like to know how it really relates to what you're doing right now, how you can really juggle all of the things that you're doing right now to do not have the overwhelm, right?
Yes, no, absolutely. So, this is actually my niche as well. And I've discovered this niche helping new entrepreneurs who are starting their businesses whilst also having full-time corporate jobs, because I've discovered that there isn't really that much help for people who are doing this. And pretty much, I mean, most entrepreneurs go through this phase where they feel they've got feet on both sides. So they still have their
Hmm.
full-time jobs or part-time jobs, but they're starting their own businesses, their side hustles. Um, so I'm going to tell everybody straight away, it is not easy. Just because it is possible, that doesn't mean that it's easy, and it does require making certain choices and certain decisions. And I think what productivity really teaches us is to make the right decisions along the way. So part of the process is learning what things we need to let go of in order for other things to thrive in our lives. Because as much as we would like to believe that we can do it all at the same time, that's not the case. So a lot of people keep asking me, how are you doing it all? The answer is that I'm not doing it all. I'm doing the things that matter to me at this point in my life. So this, it's something that I also discussed with my very good friend who also went through this. And just because we are going through this phase of juggling the side hustle and the full-time jobs right now, that doesn't mean it's going to be like this forever. It's a phase in our lives, and we need to learn how to manage it effectively, and how to fit all other parts of our lives into it. So I'm also a mom to a little toddler, and I make sure that I spend time with her every day. This is a non-negotiable. So I do also spend time with my family. I spend time on myself. I do still even binge watch Netflix if I feel like binge watching Netflix. So it's not just because I do have a lot on, doesn't mean that I don't have any downtime. So it is definitely a juggling exercise in a way. There's a lot of prioritizing that goes into that, but I think the key ingredient is being able to make the right choices and the right decisions.
Yeah, and I also think that, like what you said, it's not always about just doing everything at the same time.
Mhm.
It's prioritizing, but also telling yourself sometimes, okay, I'm not going to do this right now, and I'm going to give myself the time as well.
Yes,
And I think that's also something that a lot of people miss is it's a marathon. It's
mhm.
really a long game. So even
Absolutely.
if you feel like you have to work 24 hours a day, it shouldn't be like that, because it's not going to result in anything better than having the right kind of scheduling or having the right kind of priorities, planning and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So what is some of the good tips that you have to make sure that people are not getting stuck in just trying to do everything at once?
Yeah, so definitely when people are first starting out, a lot of people start following business coaches and business gurus, and following a lot of the advice. So there's a lot of learning that's happening at the beginning. Now, what I would suggest at that point is to people who are side hustling, they still have their full-time jobs, should not try to emulate, to copy the schedules of full-time entrepreneurs. If you want to accelerate building your business and build it really quickly in time, then you need to quit your job so you can dedicate 100% of your time to your business. However, if you're not ready to quit your job and you're building your business on the side, this is the compromise you're making, and that is the time that you can dedicate to that business. And it's also choosing to do the right things at the right time, but definitely do not try to copy what someone else is doing when they are already a full-time entrepreneur. This is kind of one of the biggest pitfalls, and it's how people get into overwhelm. I was like, oh, but this person is doing all of those things. Well, of course, because they have 100% of their time they can dedicate to their business. You are in a different situation. So we also need to recognize that in a way. So definitely recognize that, well, the time it's going to take you to a certain milestone will be longer because of the amount of time you can dedicate every day or every week. And this is where we go into more of the kind of logistics and practicalities of planning and scheduling of your work and your business and everything outside of that you might have happening. So some people are in a very good position, and that's what's actually been happening during COVID, is that when everybody worked from home all of a sudden, people started using some of the time for their side hustles. And this is an incredibly efficient way to be able to juggle throughout the day the work commitments and your new business commitments, as well as your personal life. So people who unfortunately cannot dedicate any time during their working hours 9 to 5, and there will be circumstances like that, they just cannot work on their business during their 9 to 5 working hours, are in a slightly more difficult position. It's still not impossible, but they're slightly more difficult position if they cannot juggle their business throughout the day. But this is where technology can help us immensely, and delegating and outsourcing, building a team around you. Once you go through the kind of initial stages of learning, what your business is about, what are your daily activities, what are the daily processes that you go through, as soon as you define them, outsource them to someone else. So it's one of the best decisions that I've made. It's freed up so much time so that I can actually now focus on building the business rather than just doing the daily activities of the business, because I've got a team that's working with me that is taking care of that. So that is definitely one of the best things you can do right at the beginning. The sooner you define those daily routines for your business, the better. But yes, definitely be prepared to stretch your milestones in time. Don't try to do everything right at the beginning, but stretch it out. So yeah, these would be my 2 biggest tips. And of course, applying productivity strategies that might work for people. And that's kind of for everybody in general. Having a weekly and daily plan, learning how to time block. Time blocking is a lifesaver for anybody who is spinning a lot of plates at any one time, because you can really organize different parts of your work, business, and life throughout your day with time blocks. So this is definitely one of the best productivity strategies that I can share with people. Time blocking is definitely one up there.
Yeah, you put it right indeed. Like for me as well, time blocking is essential, because it also forces you to do the specific task in that specific time. And then you have always like a deadline. And for me, that works because I like deadlines, because it makes me move faster and it keeps me focused. And if I don't have that, I go left and right, and I see something and then I react to that and I
Mhm.
go do this. And by the end of the day, you haven't done anything. You've been busy, but you haven't done anything, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, and delegating 100%. I mean, I have an assistant as well, and she's amazing. Like I said, I wouldn't know what to do without her because
Mhm.
she takes also so much of the work that needs to be done anyway.
Mhm.
And it's yeah, everybody needs somebody like that.
Yeah,
Would you say,
absolutely.
because you also mentioned, Eva, that that was one of your biggest roadblocks in the beginning as well, where you
Mhm.
didn't delegate? So what was the tipping point where you said, okay, oh, wait a minute, I need to do this?
So I think it got to the point where I've realized that even though I'm teaching people productivity, my own productivity started suffering because what started happening, and I mean, you'll know this. All new entrepreneurs will know this. When you're first starting out, the very very beginning, you're starting at zero, so you've got kind of no daily business commitments at that point. So you're building everything from scratch. However, once you go a few weeks, a few months in, you are still building the business, you are still learning a lot of things, but you have acquired some of those business activities, regular recurring business activities along the way, that kind of have to continue. So you start spinning the wheel, but you're still building it. And the further you go, the more you grow your audience, the more sales calls you start booking in, the more the clients you start working with, the faster it accelerates. And there came a point for me, especially where, one of those spinning wheels is social media management. So, the bigger your audience, the more engagement you get, the more comments, the more DM messages, the more people are interested in talking to you and reacting to your content. But it also means the more time you have to spend on this, plus also creating that content. And it got to the point where I actually was not able to produce any content in advance. And I started producing content literally half an hour before I wanted to post things during the day. And once it was about kind of a couple of weeks of this happening, and I was trying to do everything I could to really kind of produce my content in advance so that I can schedule it and post like everybody else. But I got to the point that no, like just for me doing this by myself and also having a full-time job and spending time with my family, it was just not impossible. And I wasn't ready to compromise on any of these other things, because I could have, right? I could have spent my time doing this instead of spending time with my family or doing all of the other things, but I wasn't able to compromise. So that was the point for me when I decided somebody else has to do this so I can spend the time building the business and building kind of a lot of the one-off things you have to build at the beginning, like a lot of the tech and, set up your email list, all of those things you start at the beginning, fix my website, all of those lovely things that I didn't have time for because I was just constantly doing the daily, the daily social media management. And it's one of the easiest things to delegate as well. So that was a no-brainer. So yes, as soon as I noticed that's what's happening, yeah, definitely went.
But I also think I like what you said about not compromising all the other stuff that's going on, and you
Yeah.
call it the work business life balance.
Yes.
And I also agree with that because, I mean, you can be a hustler all day,
Yeah.
you can want to build your side hustle and not having a life, just spending hours and hours building your business, not going out with friends, whatnot. And honestly, for me, that's not an option
No.
because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun building a business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to compromise everything,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see that as fun. So I like that idea for sure. Well, I think even for the ones that are still in corporate, that's even more true,
Mm-hmm.
even if they want to build their side hustle. But yeah, delegating will solve a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's like when is the tipping point? Because like people would say, yeah, but I need some customers first. I need to have some sales first before I can even start thinking about a team. But it's like a chicken and the egg, right? What comes first?
Um,
Sales and all your time, or delegating what you should be doing and being able to develop your business because you can spend time on it.
I think you're absolutely right. So there was a tipping point in terms of the workload. And when I realized I'm spending the time on all the wrong things, so I was spending the time managing the business instead of growing it. But there is also the mental shift that new entrepreneurs have to go through. And I think it is a learning curve. And people who haven't been through this journey, I don't think they will realize, but you can try and do things on your own. It will take significantly longer because the outsourcing can happen, not just outsourcing of the physical tasks to someone, but when you are investing, whether that's investing in a team or investing in a business coach, you're also outsourcing having to look for information. So spending time looking for information and then learning it and then learning how to apply it. So that's also, so there's kind of two sides to the investment. Investing in the physical, activities in your business that will free up your time to grow the business, but also investing in someone else giving you that information so you don't spend all this time looking for it yourself and learning it, kind of learning all of the things and then picking what works, what doesn't work. So I think it is a big mental shift. And I know, and I was like that at the beginning. I also thought, oh, I need to have some clients first before I can spend the money. It is a money mindset thing at the end of the day. I have to earn the money first before I can spend it. But it's not going to work that way when you're trying to build a business. It took me a little while to realize this, but I think I've realized this in time because I started investing and then I saw some results and I was like, well, the more I will invest, the bigger the results I will see. The results will come, but I need to have faith and invest in them first before they come. And for me, it was very much about deciding how much do I want to wait for those results? Am I prepared to wait for them 6 months or a year? In which case, okay, maybe I don't need to invest at that time and the results will come in 6 months or a year. But if I want to see the results in 2 months or 3 months, then the only way is to invest in somebody who will show me exactly what I need to do to see those results in, a couple of weeks.
Somebody that has done it before, has even just a few steps ahead of you, and that can also keep you accountable, because I think that as well, not only the knowledge, but also having like the soundboards between the two of you, brainstorming about what you should or shouldn't do is huge. You can call it a coach, a mentor, whatever it is, but you need to have somebody like that, because like you said, you cannot do it all by yourself. I mean, there are many, many, many entrepreneurs out there that have done it before and that are also in the same situation like you. So why not leverage that knowledge, that community, to keep growing together? So for me as well, it's super important. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, a lot of people don't realize this, but I mean, it's one of the things I do with my clients at the beginning. We kind of establish what are all of the things that are happening in your life right now. How much time do you want to dedicate with them? What are your goals? Are all the things that you're doing, are they actually bringing you closer towards your goals? Even doing that exercise and kind of dumping everything out of your mind can already be very cathartic and stress relieving. But very often you kind of touch on things that can be a little bit can carry some emotions as well, because, building a business is very overwhelming. And, it creates doubt, sabotaging and, lots of negative feelings that come with that, the fear of failure, all of those lovely, lovely things. and having someone who is there with you. So it's also, I also call it, in a way, outsourcing someone else's energy to give you that energy and that strength to go through all of this and actually order it and, eliminate things that are not serving you, because you yourself might not be able to make the best decisions about certain things, especially things that carry some kind of emotion, have some kind of emotional attachment to things, but someone else might be able to give you better advice on what to do with that. And I think that kind of applies to business coaches as well as any other types of coaches that can help you with that. So no, absolutely.
100%, yeah, 100%. And it's something that I think a lot of people start realizing only when they start doing it, right? Only when they go past that mindset of trying to do it all by themselves, they see like, oh, wait a minute. Indeed, just by talking to somebody, I can get the clarity. Oh, that's huge. It doesn't even require a tool or a template or anything like that. Just talking to somebody can already help tremendously.
Absolutely.
So Eva, you also mentioned in the questionnaire that we sent always before the podcast that having a planning system is essential to reduce overwhelm. Now, how does that planning system looks like?
That is a great question. So, and by the way, I believe that, we can talk about certain generalities, but I do believe that at the end of the day, we are all unique. We have kind of our own unique ways of thinking. So the best system is always the one that works for us, not necessarily one that works for someone else. However, there are certain tips that are helpful in that sense. So a few of the things that I would advise for anybody who's listening is to learn to do proper brain dumps first. And I think somebody mentioned, I saw you ask the question, like, how do you deal with overwhelm? And someone replied that they write a to-do list. And that is a great way. However, I would call it to do a brain dump. So you're dumping things out of your head so they're not taking memory space in your brain. But we need to remember that a brain dump is not the same as a to-do list. Just because you think at that time that, oh, perhaps I should do something, doesn't mean you need to commit to actually doing it. There's also quite an important shift. And then we can, once we have our brain dump, once we empty our brain of all of the things that we need to do, and if you're a side hustling entrepreneur with a full-time job, that list will probably be much, much longer than someone else's list. So that's why it's so important, because people who do juggle work, business, and life tend to carry a lot more of a mental load of the things that they need to do. And this is why having an external planning system is so essential, because we have gone past the point where we can hold things in our heads. Our brains were just not designed for that. So yes, definitely emptying things out of our head and then organizing them into time periods that you can gradually shrink down. And what I mean by that is kind of depending on how far ahead your certain tasks on your brain dump are, you could organize things into, okay, these are the things I will do this year, and these are the things that I'll maybe do someday, or maybe I'll do next year. Then whatever you set for next year, you set yourself a reminder, let's say at the end of December or on the 1st of January, I'm going to look at them at that time. But you don't have to look at them before that. They're already scheduled, sorted out. That's the kind of clarifying process here, so that you are gradually shrinking down the actual list of tasks that you need to do at any point in time. So, okay, we've gotten rid of parts of it. We're going to do it next year. Okay, what am I doing this year? Let's split it by month. So you say, okay, this is what I want to do this month. This is what I want to do next month, the month after that, the month after that. So if you have your whole timeline in front of you, it becomes much easier to spread things out. And again, the tendency will always be that I want to do everything this month. I want to do as much as I can this month. And this is how people overload themselves. So remember, if you still have a full-time job and you're growing your business, pick the most important things that will help with the growth in month one. But do remember that you need to spread things out. So don't put everything month one. There will be more months to come that way. Once you organize things into other months, schedule them in your calendar, and then you don't have to worry about them. Then you only look, okay, what do I have this month? That's all you care about at that point. You see how it goes. So then you look into week by week. Okay, what am I doing? 1 week, week 2, week 3, week 4. You go through that. And again, everything that's scheduled into the future, put it in your calendar, and then you can forget about it until the right time when you have to review what you've scheduled. And you shrink that down until you get your weekly view and you plan your days. The whole idea of dealing with overwhelm, of having to juggle so many things, is that every day you have a very clear daily task list that is manageable and that your brain doesn't have to worry about all of the other tasks that you have to do in the future, because you've noted them down in a place where you can find it in the future, and perhaps you've scheduled it in your calendar. So you will get reminded at the right time in the future of all of those other tasks. So a planning system is essential to help you let go of trying to remember everything. This is how overwhelm is created, when we're trying to hold on to things and remember all of those things, and we're stressed because we're worried, oh, there are these appointments, I don't want to miss deadlines, I don't want to miss appointments, all of those things. So if we have an external planning system that allows us to just focus on what do I have to do today, it will make a world of difference. So a planning system is definitely essential. And what comes with a planning system to that degree is also prioritizing methods. So there are several prioritizing methods out there. People are using different ones. So I would suggest that you find your favorite prioritizing method, so that when you look at your weekly list and then daily lists, you can also apply prioritizing strategies into your tasks, so you know what are the most important things each day, most important things each week, and so on. So these would be the two most kind of essential practical ways to help you with juggling. You called it quite nicely the trifecta, the work, business, and life. We basically need to recognize that this is beyond trying to juggle things in our heads. We have to have an efficient external system that will do a lot of the thinking for us, and definitely leverage tools and technology for that. Setting up reminders, using all of the free productivity tools that are out there, absolutely essential for that.
Awesome. Good stuff there. Yeah. And it's crucial indeed to have a planning system in place. And I think a lot of people think by themselves like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work to do. So that's where a coach like you comes into place, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, Ewa,
yeah, go on.
No, I was wanted to say, because we're almost at the end of our half an hour here, I just wanted to ask you, where can people find more about this, and where can they reach out to you?
Yes, so I do have a website, which is ewahalliday.com. But yes, perfect. And this is where people can download my free productivity planner for side hustling entrepreneurs. And it's something that I actually built specifically for the 3 streams that you would be working with. So most planners would only allow you to have work tasks and personal tasks, for example. And it didn't work for me. And I know it doesn't work for side hustling professionals and entrepreneurs. So if you are juggling 3 streams at the moment, that productivity planner will definitely work for you, and you can download it from my website. And I also hang out in my Facebook group, which I would also like to invite you to, which is where I do post a lot of trainings about things like the planning system and other productivity strategies.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely something people should check out, because there's a lot of stuff in there, as well as the Facebook group where you do a lot of lives, which is awesome. So yeah, thank you, Eva, for being on the podcast and sharing your knowledge, right? And let's catch up later. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.